Woodworking. DIY Steps for Beginners to Complete the Process by Harry Devers, narrated by Jason Burkett. Introduction. Today's woodworking shop, a power-hungry haven. Woodworking has become easier than ever before. When craftsmen in medieval times were making a living on this and hoping for their next scarce materials to arrive, they didn't have the power tools, jigsaws, drills, lathe, planer, and jointer that we have nowadays. There are a lot of people across the world who own their own woodworking business, and this shows that it's perfectly possible to make this hobby your profession. Or just do it on the side, of course. Whatever your purpose is in woodworking, you need some guidance. You have to know what to do, what to use, how to do it, and where to look for inspiration. That's where this book comes in. It paves the way for your journey of woodworking heroism and sophisticated carpentry in today's society. For many people, the home woodworking shop is a safe place to escape from stresses of family, obligations, or employment. The time doesn't matter. It's all about the art. Some things are necessary, however, to make your time more useful and productive, and to make the process more enjoyable. One of the key items in any woodworking shop is the workbench. Most people will build their own to make sure it's sufficiently sturdy and balanced to withstand the beatings it's going to take. The bench has to be leveled and large enough to handle elaborate projects you may come up with. Organizing and arranging tools is another thing you don't want to waste time on. If you can arrange your tools according to the projects you're doing, it can save you tremendous amounts of time. This can prevent one tool from being in the way when you move on to the next part of your project. These things and other important details will be addressed in the chapters ahead of you. To secure your safety, speed up the process, and perfect results, I encourage you to keep reading and not postpone this essential step in your woodworking endeavors: the right information. I will see you in the first chapter. Chapter 5. Not for wussies. Woodworking can take a lot of hard physical labor. It's not for wimps, and it's hard to find someone who will take you by the hand and show you everything. Woodworkers and trainers have little time, and they know you can learn a lot by practicing. Before the computers and other technology and machines took over the industry, little woodworkers from their own workshops had to figure everything out. Nowadays, a computer and machine can do this work. So if you're looking for a little handicraft experience, you have to put in the blood, sweat, and tears like everyone else. Even if a trainer will train you for weeks, there is still much to be learned by practicing and through trial and error. Failure is a part of the process, so don't get discouraged if a project turns out to be a bunch of garbage. You'll learn how to perfect, become faster, and polish your work more efficiently in the nick of time. Woodworking training on the internet isn't always the best, since it focuses on theory and steps, but the practical side and the many things you discover along the way will be left up to you. You can definitely use those online courses, but only as guidelines, not as the ultimate way to get results. Explore the market. There are so many homeowners that want cabinets or furniture in their home, and the market is definitely out there. Some woodworkers have 6 figures each year. The market needs to be explored, as well as the competition. Asking around, browsing the internet, or getting referrals is all a part of the process. To check out the competition, you can call or contact around to see if locals offer the same home repair services and have a woodworking schedule. You can find out what kinds of similar services there are, so you can better estimate whether or not it's a good idea to invest into a woodworking business in your area. Otherwise, if it isn't, lower your expectations, make it a hobby, start selling online, or pack up and move to a better area. That's my advice. Don't forget the hidden market either. Teaching woodworking. Maybe people don't want an object, but learn how to do it themselves. Film yourself and put videos on YouTube. Grow a channel and advice or announce training classes. I'm a fantastic artist, but I've discovered many times that there are more people who want to learn how to draw than people who want me to draw something for them. And sometimes the competition seems high, but there is a sub niche of specific items or objects that are high in demand but low in supply. Maybe everyone is doing tables in your area, but the real undiscovered market is in beds or closets. Who knows? Chapter 7. Shows. Woodworking shows are very popular in a lot of regions. You can find art, woodworking, knowledge, and experienced laborers that take pride in their work. In London, Ontario, for instance, there's a woodworking show. It's not only for visitors who want to buy something, but also for those who want to learn more or buy materials. As with any fair, there's a lot of selling, but also a lot of looking around at demonstrations, equipment, machinery, supplies, displays, sculptures, carvers, and carpenters. Whether you want to buy a dog statue or a heavy-duty piece of equipment, you'll find it there. There are many other shows all across the country you live in, I bet. All it takes is to search on Google for a little bit and find the one closest to you. TV shows. Many people get tempted to do everything themselves to save costs or to polish everything their own way. However, many underestimate how much a project costs. They end up spending more than they wished, as indicated earlier, and it's hard to foresee which extra costs pile up. Financial advisors suggest that you have the financing for the project lined up ahead of time in the form of a personal loan or a home equity loan. This will give the homeowner the necessary cushion for added cost. Even if you don't use the line of credit, it's good to have it to cover contingencies. More than 34% out of a certain number of people who took a survey used loans to complete their home improvement projects. Others use savings. Either way, the TV shows showed so much perfection and so much simplicity that people were sometimes deceived. Here is the warning. Try not to fool yourself and imitate the pretty mansions you see in home and garden TV shows. Some people have become financially ruined or had a hard time keeping their relationships intact. A study by the British Gas Association and published on their website house.co.uk indicates that more than 50% of the do-it-yourself home improvement projects are inspired by these shows, and that 80% of the families doing the projects are having fights regarding the topic. More than 65% of the families had serious arguments over the colors or styles of the projects. It may be a good idea to ask for professional advice when it comes to do-it-yourself projects. Before you dive all in. I remember my dad insisted on redoing the outdated fence in our backyard. We were fixing it in a pouring rain because we didn't have the patience to wait for better weather. "I have time now," he said, "not later." We were all soaked when the fence was put up. But there was a problem. His measurements were off. Actually, he hardly measured at all. He had just estimated the space in wooden pieces for the fence. Therefore, we had to tear most of it down and start over. It was a stupid way to start a project. Not enough planning and a let's just do it attitude. Here are some top reasons for the disagreements among family members. 10. Differences between men and women. They simply disagree on colors, designs, and space because of their natural tendencies as a man or woman. 9. Not enough knowledge to do the job. 8. The high cost. 7. Stress and messy areas. 6. The disruption in the household the renovation causes. 5. Not having sufficient time to complete the project. 4. Unfinished jobs. 3. False ideas about the job. The TV show makes it look so easy. 2. The one doing the job really doesn't want to do it. It gets pushed onto him or her, but he or she is reluctant. And the top reason hardly seems worthwhile. Disagreements over the color scheme. A lot of people have a hard time deciding about moving because of uncertainty in the housing market. So instead, they're following the lead of TV shows and renovating instead of moving. But this often comes with unforeseen problems. Chapter 2. Woodworking Plans. You have to choose a correct woodworking plan for your project. If you don't, the proportions and specific steps will be off, dooming your project to disaster. You can download free woodworking plans from different websites. Many of those are PDF files to ensure that they cannot be changed, which is a big joke because you can modify and convert any PDF file in Photoshop or with a word converter. But whatever, let's grant these people the feeling of copyright safety. First of all, and this step is obvious, decide what you want to make. One of the recommended projects for beginners is a simple table or a piece of furniture that is not too complicated. Hey, if you want to build a house from scratch, be my guest. But I suggest you start with the basics. Then, if you mess it up, it won't be such a loss of money or time. I mentioned the internet, but you can also get plans from woodworking groups. Additionally, learn from the best in your local area. They can tell you things the internet won't. When you select a plan and style, make sure it has pictures. Then you'll know what you will be working towards. Don't get a plan if you don't know what it will look like in the end. Avoid plans that read like a story because they're hard to understand. The step-by-step process may be challenging to figure out. Good plans should not just be a bullet point text, but should flow well. Like a recipe book, woodworking plans that work are the ones that have a specific instructions list and tell you which tools you'll need to get the project done. The one who wrote the plan and designed it should have indicated how hard this project will be. This should give you an indication of whether or not you need to start with this or a different project. Some people have searched the local libraries for woodworking plans, but I haven't done that yet. So I don't know if you'll find anything good there. Jewelry box. Something else you can do, besides furniture, is making a jewelry box. Sometimes these are recommended to begin with because they are one of the easiest things to do. The techniques you have to use for these simple, small items allow you to add details to boxes as you please and create beautiful gifts to your wife or your ex-girlfriend. When you have a plan, select the right type of wood. Pick the wood that works best for the project, or you already sign yourself up for failure. You can use wood scraps, which have been done by many, or you can buy quality brand new wood. Work from the top to the bottom. Make them sturdy by thickening the wood. With a jewelry box, you also have to sand the inside surface to not hurt your girl's fingers. Trust me, you don't want that happening and sleep on the couch for a week. When everything fits properly and the separate pieces are shaped in the correct proportions, you can apply the glue and clamp the sides and the ends together like a puzzle. Let the glue dry long enough, like a day or two. After that, sand everything again to get rid of the excess glue. The next thing you should do is form the key joints with a special jig, because this will add class to your box and make it look even better. You then need to add in the tray and supports in the box, which will be where you will separate all the jewelry and store it. Of course, you alter these formats however you want. The only thing to keep in mind is that there are sufficient spaces to separate the jewelry. Okay, we went into choosing a plan, and I went a little overboard on specifics for a jewelry box project because that's one of the things I like to do. Now let's look into some tips for using machinery. Package deals. Yes, there are some woodworking plans for free on the internet if you look hard enough, but for a low price, you can get an entire package or method or some of the best woodworking secrets. And I wouldn't hold that from you because it can be really helpful. Here are some links with plans, insider secrets, and other informational projects to look at. I suggest you click on the links if you have the ebook version, or look up the name of the website if you bought the audiobook or paperback version. Take a look. 16,000 Woodworking Plans by tedswoodworking.com. The Angry Woodworker's Blueprint, Guide to Making Money with Woodworking Business. Cheap Woodworking Secrets, so you can find the cheapest tools and other stuff. Woodprofits.com, How to launch your woodworking business to make more than $90,000 per year. 9,000 Furniture Craft Plans. Chapter 3, Machinery. I mentioned all the tools you can add to your workshop in the first chapter. Let me make it clear that no matter how good the tools are from Amazon that I referred you to, and the other ones you can find in Home Depot or other stores, you can also look for used tools and machinery without spending a fortune. Maybe if you aren't sure how far you want to go with this hobby or profession, this would be the wisest thing to do. Anyways, I won't tell you what to do, just what has worked for me and other like-minded individuals. Some people you know or on the internet might just be tired of pursuing this activity of woodworking. And they're happy to sell their stuff, which they don't use anymore anyways, at a discounted price. You might be skeptical about this, but a lot of times there is nothing wrong with them. They simply stopped using them, that's all. Be frugal and watch out when you spend your money on supplies or tools. As I said before, there are some tools that will definitely help you, while others are unneeded. For example, surveys show that although 60% of people in the survey who had a home renovation worked up a budget for it, 27% spent more than they originally budgeted. Add one item at a time. Don't buy thousands and thousands of dollars of tools if you're not sure which ones you need yet. Here are some places you can find those tools. 1. eBay. 2. Amazon. Yes, they have used stuff too. 3. Local classified ads. 4. Craigslist or online marketplaces in your country. 5. Estate sales. And 6. Auctions. In summary, you can get a pretty decent woodworking shop started by getting used supplies and being selective about which you really need and which ones are unnecessary luxury for now. Then, later, as your skills improve and you notice you won't quit, you can add more tools to your shop. Here's some more tips for working with tools. 1. Another tip. You could compare different tools and save the environment by going green if you're into that. There are tools that pollute and kill trees, and there are those that don't, or do it in a lesser degree. 2. When you are not using the tool, unplug it. This can prevent tripping, having it turn on, burn the outlet, or having some other problem or unsafe practice happening. Also, it can save you money, your fingers or your hair from being electrocuted. Hang up cords so nobody can trip over it, or coil it up. You don't need to charge all these tools all the time. Most of them nowadays have lithium-ion batteries that only lose about 2 to 5% when not plugged in each month. That's almost nothing. 4. Sawdust can be nasty, especially when you don't clean it up. My advice is wear a face mask when this is appropriate and sweep it all up every time you stop working on your project. 5. Use foot wiping mats outside of your woodworking area or at the top of the steps when you work in the basement. Thinners, paint, and stains can be nasty, and you want to wipe them off when you can. 6. Careful with paint thinner. Do not pour it into the toilet or on the street. The sludge that appears from paint thinner when you leave it overnight is something that needs to go into hazardous waste material sites. 7. Keep the kids away. No matter how interesting it is, when they are below a certain age, you cannot work and keep an eye on them at the same time. I recently saw someone handing a gun to a 6-year-old when we were shooting in the mountains. Yes, I live in the USA. It's not against the law, the guy said. I answered, I don't care what the law says. A 6-year-old doesn't know enough what he's doing. You don't hand a 1-year-old a sharp knife either. There are just certain things you need to be old enough for. I stepped out of range just to make sure. The same goes for these dangerous machines. Make sure your kids are old enough to not get a finger cut off or trip on a wire. Chapter 4. Classes. Find a woodworking class that best fits your needs or interests. There are so many out there that you may have to compare them for a while. Community colleges are one place to find them. When you do, you will know that the instructors are certified and that you can choose a beginner or expert level. Cabinet making is a popular item in woodworking right now. Since houses are expensive, a lot of people are looking for those who can improve their kitchen cabinets for affordable prices. Bathrooms are another way to improve a home. Because of these shifts and the rising prices of homes, there is a shift in woodworking classes as well, geared towards those who want to do home improvement projects. Woodworking groups are in many cities as well. Groups like this, much like the guilds in medieval times, can hook you up with an instructor or help you find classes you like. Perhaps they will freely or cheaply offer their time to get you started themselves. One of the fun things about woodworking classes is that you can take the items you made home and benefit from them, either because they look cool or because they're simply useful in the home or elsewhere. When you enroll in a class, it would be useful to speak to the instructor first and get an idea of his or her expertise in woodworking. This way you can estimate if this is worth your time and money, or if you're dealing with a complete idiot. Signing up for multiple classes can get you a discount, so keep that in mind too. What is popular? There are just some things that will never change in popularity. They remain useful and beautiful, and they are as timeless as the universe. Everyone loves furniture because they can use it. Everyone loves great detail because it looks pretty. It doesn't take a genius to figure some projects that can help you make things to sell or give away or use in your own home. Walking stick. Other than furniture, many woodworkers who just began say they started with a walking stick, not because they got into an accident, but they created a walking stick not for themselves. The best thing to do if you want to create a walking stick is to find a piece of wood that is somewhat straight. You can have a curvy, unique design, but that might be something that would be easier when you are a little more of an expert at it. Once you have a piece of wood, just use a knife to cut off all the bark. Then carve the stick according to your personal design. Advanced woodworking schools. I'm going to point out the best advanced woodworking schools, according to testimonials, and of course, it's up to you to decide if you want to enroll in any other programs. Lohr's School of Woodworking. This school will offer a practical woodworking course that will go for as long as 48 hours, and it teaches you every skill you need to master this art. It's mostly for those who are already pretty advanced at woodworking, and you'll be working with big power tools on more complicated projects. The school has high-quality tools to take your set of skills to the next level. It has also been called a boot camp, so you'll know what to expect. They claim to have 4 table saws, 3 jointers, 3 drill presses, 2 thickness planers, 2 wood lathers, full dust collection, spindle shapers, band saws, jig saws, scroll saws, as well as dozens of routers and jig accessories. Advanced woodworking schools. The Homestead Woodworking School is located in Newmarket, New Hampshire. It has classes for every level, and it doesn't limit itself to the experts. All of the teachers and instructors are pros at what they do, and they can help you specialize in woodworking. There are various classes, so be sure to check the website first to know which ones you should enroll. They also have a 10-week course that shows you the history of woodworking and the practical application and strategies of this particular trade. Connecticut School of Woodworking. The Connecticut Valley School of Woodworking teaches classes that go from the fundamentals to the expert levels and techniques. This list of instructors and classes is long, so go to their website and see what fits your needs the best. Also, as with any of these schools or other schools you try, I would call them and have a list of questions before you enroll and spend your money. Chapter 6. Supplies. Supplies are crucial. Getting the right types of woods will determine the outcome of your projects. For example, although there are many supplies available online, it's probably better to check a local store for these. Why? Because that way you can feel the supplies, smell them, touch them, hear them, drop them, taste them, see them, talk to them. You get the point. You won't be frustrated as much and ask your money back if you can meet people, ask them for advice, and hold the items in your hands as you buy them. The actual wood can be expensive or cheap. It can be high quality or low quality. It can be smooth or rough, hard or soft, dark or light, heavy or light. There are so many different kinds of woods because there are, 1, so many different trees, and 2, so many different ways to process them in factories and deliver them to woodworkers like you or factories that will turn these things into end product. In the United States, there is always a Home Depot or Lowe's. In other countries, there's a Gamma or another store. The demand for these DIY supplies is high enough that tons of companies are there to help you find what you need. Carefully decide with each project which wood works best with what you are trying to create. Chapter 8: Easy Projects. Many people who start woodworking get frustrated because they start out with things that are too complicated and require a much more experienced skill level. Here are some simple projects you can do besides the walking stick I talked about. Letter holder. The simplicity of this makes it an excellent starter's project. You don't need a lot of materials, and it can be a nice decoration in the home. Besides, its practical function allows you to stack your letters somewhere until you read them or chuck them in the trash. You will need a few items to complete the project. First, a 2-foot by 2-foot sheet of plywood or panel board. Next, a 6-foot by 3/4 by 1.5 long board. You will also need some 50 panel pans, 15 wood screws, 5 key hooks, and some PVA wood glue. Place the plywood on any surface and draw a top decorative section with a black marker, which will be the top of the letter holder. The best, easiest way to draw this decoration is by taking 3 plates and put them on the board. With a black marker, you follow the outline tracing out the top half. Cut along the top to separate the wood. After that, you have to cut every piece for the mail slots. When you've done that, mount and attach them to the plywood. With the wood you cut off the top and that you have left, square it off and attach it to the rails you mounted on the plywood. Put in 5 key hooks. You're finished. Simple as that. Planter box. Planter box plans can be found on the internet for free. The 2 most important things to think of when you do this project are figuring out the size of the plants and the way the box fits into the rest of the garden. The outlines of the plans you get should be sufficient for you to get started and not receive any other specific instructions concerning this. Woodworking for kids. Sharing your woodworking skills with children can be a lot of fun. Some of them may be fast learners, while others complain and just don't feel like it. The results should inspire them, as well as the compliments they get when they complete one of the steps in the process. Before you begin, you can come up with some woodworking ideas with your child. After you have chosen which woodworking ideas you want to do, you can teach your kid a lot during the process of the project. First, you may begin showing your kid the different kinds of wood and how to use them. Second, safety is the most important thing they need to keep in mind. Of course, you should never leave your child unattended in the workshop. After you have planned your project and discussed the safety rules, you can start bringing the woodworking into practice. Your child will also benefit from being involved in measuring pieces that you have to cut. This is a fantastic opportunity to teach them about measuring and fractions. They can always use the skill of reading tape measures during the rest of their lives. In the process of the project, your kid will get better at solving problems. Their dexterity and hand-eye coordination will also improve, while they get more activity involved in what is happening. Your kid will get a better understanding of the various tools and how they work. The uses of these tools can teach them a lot, and they will get more respect for the danger that is involved in using the tools. Other than simply watching TV or sitting down and watching them on the playground, having a woodworking project together can create happy memories for sharing time with your child. Thanks again for buying my book. If you have a minute, please leave a positive review. I would appreciate it a lot. Thanks. I take reviews seriously and always look at them. This way, you are helping me provide you better content that you will love in the future. A review doesn't have to be long, just 1 or 2 sentences and a number of stars you find appropriate. Hopefully 5, of course. Also, if I think your review is useful, I will mark it as helpful. This will help you become more known on Amazon as a decent reviewer and will ensure that more authors will contact you with free ebooks in the future. This is how we can help each other. Other practical guides: bass fishing, the How to Catch Bass Fish Guide; bass fishing, American secrets and locations to catching freshwater bass; fly fishing, guide of 50 tips to catch fish with flies; fly fishing, 50 extra tips to fish for salmon and trout; drawing cats with realistic pencil sketches; drawing dogs with realistic pencil sketches; drawing horses with realistic pencil sketches; and drawing faces with realistic pencil sketches. Disclaimer: this information is provided as is. The author, publishers, and/or marketers of this information disclaim any loss or liability, either directly or indirectly, as a consequence of applying the information presented herein, or in regard to the use and application of said information. No guarantee is given, either expressed or implied, in regard to the merchantability, accuracy, or acceptability of the information. The pages within this ebook have been copyrighted. This has been Woodworking: DIY Steps for Beginners to Complete the Process. Written by Harry Devers, narrated by Jason Burkhead. Copyright 2017 by Harry Devers. Production copyright 2017 by Harry Devers.